very much to the organisers for inviting me. My name's Simon Dyson. My day job, I'm a professor of sociology at Montfort University. But I've also been a lifelong member of the Sickle Cell Society, so when they realised there was an event here in their honour, they asked me to come and just say a few words. I guess that many of you will know quite a bit about sickle cell. It's a serious, inherited, multi-system disorder, which multi-system, basically that means that the effects of sickle cell can affect pretty much any part of the body. The main symptom is when the red blood cells that take your oxygen around the body turn into a sickle shape, like a crescent moon, or like the shape of an old-fashioned farmer's implement called a sickle. And when the blood cells turn into that shape, basically they get blocked in the small blood vessels, and the part of the body affected gets affected by quite excruciating pain. Now, the pain is so severe, or can be so severe, that it requires opiate drugs like diamorphine to treat. I've heard it said that the pain of a sickle cell crisis is equivalent to the pain of someone dying from terminal cancer. Only the difference is that the doctors and nurses believe you if you've got cancer. They don't always believe the pain of someone with sickle cell. It's inherited. That means that you can be a carrier and not necessarily know that you've got the genetic material associated with sickle cell. If two carriers have a baby, there's a 1 in 4 chance, 25% chance in each pregnancy that that child will go on and have the full condition, sickle cell anemia. The painful crises aren't the only symptom that someone with sickle cell can have. Just about any part of the body can be affected. We start with the head. Strokes, about 10% of young children with sickle cell will have a stroke before they're 18. Strokes we normally associate with older people. Problems with eyes, wearing out of the shoulder joints or the hip joints, needing hip replacements at a very young age. Something called acute chest syndrome, which is very life-threatening. Problems with the spleen or the liver, right down to leg ulcers. So you can see there's a huge range of potential medical problems. Now, some of these can be avoided or at least made less severe if the children with sickle cell are enrolled with a specialist paediatrician from a very early age. And one of the things that the Sickle Cell Society over the past 20 years has been campaigning for, and eventually won in about 2005, was for all children born in England, irrespective of their ethnicity, because although sickle cell is very much associated with people of African and African Caribbean descent, in fact it's not as well known. It affects many other groups around the world. Sickle cell gene arose not only in Africa but also in the Middle East and India as well. So parts of the Middle East and India are also affected by the sickle cell. Back in 2005, as I was saying, the government finally moved to screen all newborn babies. So if any of you are going on to have babies in the next 9 months, one of the tests that the midwife will do will be a tiny heel prick test, take a spot of blood from the baby, and one of several tests in that newborn screening is now for sickle cell disease. And if the baby is identified with sickle cell disease, they can be enrolled into a specialist clinic right from an early age, and their best chances of not only surviving but thriving can be down to that. The Sickle Cell Society was formed in 1979, and basically it's there to try and educate not only the public but also health professionals and other professionals around the country who don't know enough about sickle cell. For example, I've just been doing some work looking at a national study of children with sickle cell in schools. Over 500 children completed our questionnaires, and some really basic and worrying stuff is happening. Children with sickle cell need to drink lots of water to stay healthy, and yet about half of our samples said that the teachers have stopped them from drinking water. Very simple, but could be life-threatening. Children with sickle cell need to go to the toilet more frequently. They can't concentrate urine as readily. and yet about 2/3 of the children said that they'd been stopped by teachers from going to the toilet when needed. Loughborough, very famous for exercise and sports science. Children with sickle cell they can and should take exercise, but not to extremes. And so sending them off for cross-country run in the pouring rain is not a good idea. And yet, again, about 1/3 of our sample said that they'd been made to take unsuitable exercise, and as a result, had one of these severe painful crises. One of the main forms of sickle cell disease is called sickle cell anemia, and as that name implies, the red blood cells get destroyed very prematurely, and the person then feels very tired, very lethargic, got no energy, can't concentrate. And again, in our survey, about 1/3 of children said that they'd been called lazy by their teachers, when in fact they were actually tired from their anemia. So you can see that organisations like the Sickle Cell Society are very important. They've made a great deal of strides in the past 30 years, because this year is their 30th anniversary, and have managed to, as I say, get newborn screening in place, and gradually over the years the treatment, I think it would be fair to say, the treatment for the painful sickle cell crisis, although far from perfect, has, thanks to some of the campaigning work of the Sickle Cell Society, improved to an extent. But as you can see from my examples with regards to what's happening to school children in education, there's a great deal to be done. Just to give you one more example, social services have historically not been very good at responding to the needs of families where there's someone with sickle cell. Because if you're a mother and you've got 2 or 3 children, one of them needs to go into hospital with a severe painful crisis, who's there to look after the other one? Are you supposed to drag the other 2 children along to the hospital with you? It's not, there's no systematic services in that respect at the moment. The Sickle Cell Society also uses some of its money to try to sponsor students who might not otherwise have the opportunity to go to university, need maybe to spread their studies out over a greater period than the traditional 3 years. A number of students have benefited from the Sickle Cell Society sponsorship in the past. So basically, what I'd like you to do, what I'd like to thank you for, is for thinking of the Sickle Cell Society in terms of the money that you're going to be raising tonight. And when you get your first class honours degrees, it'll all become Sir Alan Sugar's apprentice, and hugely rich and wealthy and powerful. Please do think of the Sickle Cell Society, and please do sign up. There's some papers around the auditorium. Please do sign up and make the Sickle Cell Society your charity of choice for when you're successful in your careers. So have a great evening, and thank you very much.
Make some noise, please, for Mr. Simon Dyson.